Aloha and welcome, selves. Today I am going to be speaking about visualizing your DNA. For starters, uh, so before I was speaking about imagination and how all you have to do is see your imagination, and then you hold the belief, and then it is done. It's simple as that. Imagination and plus the belief together entwine in the reality that you wish to experience. So for DNA, you would see your DNA. You would visualize it. You know what DNA looks like. There's plenty of pictures on DNA. You hold that image and you color its theme as to your liking, and then you see your DNA. See it spiral and see it wherever you would like to. You can then even see it on other cells. When you see it on other cells, you hold the belief that you're helping them with their DNA activation, and then it is so. So with reconstructing your 12 DNA strands, visualizing your DNA, seeing it within you goes a long way. It helps out uh, majorly. Uh, so with the imaginations, that's how this is even here. And so DNA, for starters, see your DNA with your imagination. Next topic would be the topic of vibration, a vibrational topic. So you're out and about. You're a very fast vibrational being. You hold a very strong frequency, and you are very much aware of your existence and the functionalities within your existence. And you're out and about, and you're supercharged. You have sun rays. You've been absorbing energy. You've been doing practices to help absorb energy and to raise your frequency, and you're actively uh, putting effort into quickening your vibration. And so you're out and about, and you're walking yourselves who are not doing any of this at all, and you're going inside their fields, and your field is much larger, encompassing than theirs is. So when you walk into their field, you're bringing that vibration you've been working on. You've been bringing them frequencies you've been gaining. You bring in that awareness you've now remembered, and uh, and right. So you're bringing all that with you into these other selves areas, and when that presence comes into their presence, uh, they instantly are. I say that because their presence is much less uh, effective. Their presence is it's not. It's just it's that old presence, that presence that doesn't really do much. So you bring this I am presence, this divine presence, this very much quickened vibrational uh, frequency rate vibration, your presence, into their presence. And when they sense that presence you bring, immediately they are attracted to other selves who are in their vibrational rate prior to you entering their presence. So now they're gaining more vibration, they're gaining more frequencies, they're gaining more awareness, uh, and in so they attract someone in their reality who could benefit from those qualities. So instantly, a ripple has ignited by uh, your entryway near their presence field. You give them that vibration, you give them all those qualities, and then right there a ripple effect was occurred. It was then generated, and now within their reality, the selves that they are in contact with now instantly have access to that information because of the you could say like it's contagious, the vibration, the new frequencies, all this golden energy, the rainbow energy. It is known, they call it, some selves are calling it rainbow energy. This rainbow energy is being let's see, the word I used earlier was I wouldn't say it's being distributed. That's the word I use. This is, you're distributing these frequencies, all these qualities of life, and in doing so, as soon as it's distributed, they then distribute it again. So an example of this you will become witness to, perhaps, is you walk in to, say, a store, and say you're such a strong vibratory being that when you walk in that store, maybe as soon as you walk in that store, a couple of their cell phones just bring as soon as you walk in. You're on your train of thought is completely still. You are in the stillness of the ocean, and you walk in there, and all of a sudden, everybody's they feel the shift, the energy shift, and so as soon as they feel it, now within their reality, access has been granted for those who are in their reality, maybe friends of theirs that they associate with, now are given access to this information that had just been distributed to them. And then it's a ripple effect, and then they distribute it to someone else who they come in contact, because now their whole way of being has been upgraded, you could say. It's been given a booster. So now they're going to use that booster and distribute their information with that booster slide. That's a different lens, a different way of acting, reacting, taking action, forming thoughts. They're going to go and use this booster to form thoughts and act and react in a more, you can say, higher quality of life, or a greater sense of enthusiasticness. They're going to be more alive when they start using this, and they're going to pull down more vibrant words from the morphogenic field that we all have access to. They're going to start pulling down this information, but they're going to do it more like consciously. They're not going to just use these words, these scripted sayings to respond with it, like, oh yeah, hey, okay, thanks. Like people would say, like, everybody, everybody be saying, oh, no problem. Like, saying no problem implies that there's such thing as problems right there, and everybody says it. They don't say anything different. That's all they were saying was, hey, oh, no problem. That's the only response anyone would ever see. That's just so one. It's as soon as someone says no problem to you, that's like, okay, and then you get the regular thought forms created after someone said no problem to you. So when they go and pull down this stuff, there's these information, their new word phrasings. They're not going to use no problem. They're going to consciously pick something more beautiful to say, and in doing so, they give that information. They ripple that information onwards using more beautiful words, and then those beautiful words hold more vibration, more information, and then when another self within their reality hears their information being pushed towards their field of awareness, they're going to hear it through the vibrant, beautiful words, and then they're going to get it, and then it is. So just by doing little things, by going and say you're absorbing all this information, you're absorbing all these sun rays, all this common sense, all the rays of light that are now entering the field of Gaia. Just by holding this and absorbing this light and holding it for the rest of the selves on the planet, and then going into the stores in your local areas, now you're giving away, you're distributing all this information, all this common sense, because that's what it is. The perception we're headed towards, when we reach it, it'll feel as if it's common sense to hold that perception. Right, so now we're gaining all these sun rays, and now we're going into the stores, we're going into the parks, we're going into the theaters, and we're going into just where we've been going but previously in our lives, and now we're going there with all this heightened state of awareness, with all this heightened state of sensories, and we are now, because we're aware of this mechanics, the functions, and the acute picking up of details, and as we do this, we give off more common sense. Everybody else feels the upgrades, everybody else feels the uplift, everybody else is now feeling the shift. And so, like I said, yeah, that's all it takes. It would be a ripple effect. Just butterfly flaps its wings, and somebody has a miracle happen. And you see it like that. So it's a good it's a great way to help out the other selves by just entering their awareness fields, because like I said, with the cell phone, instantly, then they, like, that's how you can distribute this information. If you're not so well with conversations with the people, other selves, I say other selves, I don't call them people, because people, what's a people? Right, so yeah, if you're not very good with conversations with selves, you could do what I'm saying. You just absorb this information, go out into these areas, and distribute it that way. Also, you could, when you have your awareness and you hear people talking, and you hear their words and their sounds that they're creating, if you hear it and you have this awareness and this access to all this energy and all these frequencies, by hearing them, you grant them access to these frequencies and this awareness. By just hearing the frequency they're emitting, they will receive, because they maybe in the past would have been like, say this, and then they wouldn't receive much after they said that. But now, since you're hearing them say that, it's like, so now they don't have to hear it themselves, because that's what you would naturally do. You would just hear yourself do something or make something or feel something, and you would feel that or hear that or see that, and you would feel all the gratifying feelings, all the satisfactory feelings, all the bliss that you would feel from those. And because that's all, this is self-recognition, being aware and understanding and the recognition of what you're doing, the validation of what you're doing. You're not needed to hear another self's validation for you to feel all them feelings. You hear it, and you gain it yourself by you giving yourself validation by hearing yourself. So when you're hearing these other selves, you give them validation without them needing to give it to themselves. So like, you hear someone laughing, you hear their laugh, you hear like the last details of their laugh, you hear like the whole thought form. It's kind of like those softwares they make music, you hear that whole thing, the whole wavelength of information. And when you hear it, they're going to now reflect on it because you heard it, and therefore that's out there. So now they have access to that. Of course, their field's going to pick up that bubble that you just then projected into the field of. So if they have access to gain that bubble, once it's up there, they're going to, of course, they're going to grab it, because now it's going to bring them to that new the better, more practical way to hear and respond to their own action. So yeah, just going into your surroundings and reality, and listening and being there is enough to spread this light, to spread these light codes, to spread this common sense, this common knowledge. Let's see, what else could we talk about? Could talk about telepathy. Telepathy is It's common sense as well. With telepathy, you are matching the reactions from what you're seeing with the filter list you have available within your own personality, the way you gather information and your personal way of assimilating that information. So we'll do an example now, okay? Telepathy works with animals. Telepathy works with other human beings. So if this is a dog right here, and you're right here, and you're with the dog, and you're having thought forms, and you're very aware, you know, you're an aware being, okay? You have all this, you're knowledgeable about all this. So when the dog is responding like this, moving its head backwards or this way, you can choose to recognize that action as a response to your thought, and then you would in return respond to the response, and then that would then go there, and then you would pick up on what your interpretation of that action was, and correlate that with the thought that you have, the personal way that you gather information onto your mind, onto your psyche, onto your biological computer, however which way you compute things. You would, you know, assimilate these reactions you're seeing from the animal that and choose to interpret them that are interpreting from your thoughts. So if you're like this and that, you're having a process or a processed thought, or you're now just processing some interactions you just had, and then you have an animal with you, and your animal friend companion, your animal companion is reacting in a, you would say, in a, it's reacting in a, it's making sense the way the animal is reacting. It's corresponding with the way you're thinking. And so then you can choose to then interpret the animal's reactions to the way you're thinking. And you'll have a conversation by you interpreting the animal's actions, and then using your imagination. The animal is then communicating with you on its actions, and then you're responding. And it's not so much a big sentence like this in thoughts. It's more like, you know, you'll see something just happen, and I'll like this, and then I'll look at you and go like this. And so you'll interpret that. You'll say, okay, he just seen that, and now he's looking at me and he's saying, yeah, you know what that means, right? Because we both already clicking, and there's telepathy right there. You've seen my actions to your thoughts, and it correlates, and then you see me go like this, and now to your thoughts, and then you see my actions, so it makes you then go and throw the thought down, or you're going to go like this, and then I know what that means. And we're not even really speaking or having thought sentences with each other telepathically. We're simply reading each other's body language. And it's like there's no need to have all these words or have all this communication. It's just, it's faster. It's more effective. Works for other human beings as well. Like you could be out driving, or in your local areas, wherever you're located, whatever's going around where you're located, and you can, you know, like these selves, other human beings, they're just the same as the aware one, the conscious creator who's consciously creating their reality. They're just as aware, except they're unconsciously in that setting to where they're not aware of their awareness that they have, that they could be co-creating with you. So that being said, you can telepathically have conversations with these selves and them not even know they're having the conversation with you. That also could extend to them. You could be conversating with people's other selves, to be saying higher self, greater self, their ultimate self, their golden self, their true self, their most aware self, their infinite aware self. right? So you could be having conversations with this infinite aware self of theirs if they were aware. Well, you're still having conversation with, because that is self is still aware. That self is just as aware. They don't know that they have that self accessible ability at any, right? So you're having a conversation with their self, and you're kind of directing them by having that conversation with them. Because if you're speaking to their great self, the infinite aware self, then they are now having very much heightened thought patterns. Their thought patterns are much more intelligent, because you're having a conversation with their higher self, and they are they're now being directed and guided. You could say you're guiding them. And you could gain information by speaking to their higher selves, because when you're with another, there's something that's known. It's when you're with another infinity suit. That's what these are. They're infinity suits. Do anything with them. So when you're with another one, two of them combined, that's if you were to generate this much power within your own, well, then you put another one there, and they're open-minded, and they're tuned to your belief systems, and you're tuned to their belief systems, and you're both connected on one idea. And then you add music with that, and then you add a little bit of maybe you add some marijuana with that, and then you really have much awareness, and then you're really much in tune with the dimensions and all the energy and frequencies. And then you have two suits and the power of two hearts, the power of two minds, connected on one wavelength, both concentrating on it. Then you really start to manifest what you're imagining, what you're thinking, what your thoughts are being directed towards. Also, you could be having telepathic conversations with other humans. Say, like, you're watching this video right now, and you're having thoughts, and then you're seeing me, like, maybe I'll scratch my eye right now, I'll do this, and then you just had a thought. So now you can correlate your thought with my scratching of the eye and interpret that I just said something to you telepathically, and it correlate with your, because this could have been like, yeah, good idea. And then, so, like, if you have an idea, when I went and did this on your end of the world, you could interpret that I just agreed with you telepathically, like my more aware self, and you could be gaining information through using this interpretation to help guide you on your thought form. Instead of agreeing with yourself, or creating an imagination to agree with yourself, or just simply agreeing with yourself, you can have me be agreeing with you to make it more comfortable if you were in a position to need more comfort to agree with yourself. So therefore could help generate further bars of progress of that thought that you're looking to evolve with. You could be watching a movie and having thoughts, and then the movie's reactions, you're kind of like agreeing with them, and you're able to go further with your thought, because it's like you're reading them as if you were speaking to them. It's like what I was saying with the dog. The dog does this while you're on this thought form, so you go, oh, right, dog knows, okay, dog just said, yeah, that was all right, that was a good idea. I say, right, and they say, yeah, and you say this and that, and then you just keep the imagination. Something that's really something that is I'd highly suggest would be when you see something happen in your reality. For example, you see a flashing light coming your way, and you see it. Maybe it's dark, maybe it's a night, and There's a one of these lights that's in downtown or wherever you're at your city, or if you're in where it's flashing. Okay, immediately change that to imagination and say, okay, this is a beam of light being flashed by this, a star, or this Iron Man suit doing this, and just immediately change it to that. And then words like program, words like accessibility, words like recode, words like decode, words like download, words like data. These words are the words you would program your Infinity Suit with. It's like command prompt, and you're on software. Okay, download, confirm, data, received, send, upload, confirm. Like that's how these work. It's logic. It's logical. That's how it is. So when you have something in your reality and you say, okay, I want to change my perception. I want to change my perspective on life. I want to change how things work in my reality. All right, this thing just happened. That's how it always used to look. But now I'm going to say, no, that was a lightning strike just happened right now. Confirm, download, program. That's how it is. DNA, register. And then voila, that just did something. That did something. And the more you do that, the more concrete the belief will be that that is what you're saying. That is happening. Lightning did just happen. And this is your kaleidoscope lens. This is your reality. Everything is a kaleidoscope lens. Everybody's looking at theirs, and their bajillion infinite filters, their lenses of kaleidoscopes. They're looking at all of them throughout their diamond eyes. It's like lights flirt out which one to look through. Look at them through the whole. Look at them through little individual ones. Look at 4 of them at a time and 3 on this one, and see what that looks like to you. As you do this, you change your reality. You change your perception of what it can be. You change it to what you would like it to be, right? So keep programming, consciously program yourself to mirror what you feel you would most enjoy. Let's see. This stuff's really detailed. Like when you start, all right, we'll talk about gathering information with your intuition. When you get into the stillness and you quiet the mind down, you start reaching the greater layers of awareness. When you get into these greater layers of awareness, thought travels. Like you've seen those images on Star Wars where they go in hyperspeed and the light, that's how thought starts traveling. And you start traveling in thought, you gain in all this information, you're downloading information, and you're just downloading it, downloading it, downloading it. You're surfing these waves of intuition. You're going over them really fast. You're picking up all this information. And then you get to something, and you're like, oh, wait, gonna go into this one for a little bit. And then you get into that channel of and you pull that thought that you were, say you're surfing all the awareness, and you get right here, and you would like to make sense out of this one a little bit more than what you just passing over would have been like. So you get into this thought, and then you take this thought into that intuition channel. Then you start taking all that knowledgeable, all that awareness that you were using to download all this information, but now you're using all that awareness to just download information about this thought that you're now making sense out of with all this awareness. You're increasing your sense making of that one in particular thought. Right. So when you're gathering this information, when you're downloading this information, you're gathering it, and you're gonna place it, organize it. So you're gathering this information, and you start gathering it, and you're having all these experiences, and all these feelings, and you're absorbing wisdom very quickly. And then when you take this wisdom, you can feel where you're gathering it from. Sometimes you'll feel it in this part of your brain. Sometimes you'll feel it in this part of your brain. Sometimes you feel the information, you gather it back here. Sometimes you feel it in the middle center of your brain. And this other days you'll feel it when you're not even in your brain. You're feeling it in like a layer of golden light around your vehicle that you're in, this infinity suit. You'll feel all this information you're downloading over here and over here. And when you start downloading this information, if you go to make sense out of an in particular idea, your wording, you want your wording to be, because you have to start using words to make sense out of it. You're no longer just streamlining downloads. Now you're using words to make sense out of the concepts, because you're downloading concepts like a big data packet. You're downloading it like this and big data download packets. And then when you get to a packet and you're like, wait, I'm not entirely sure on this, how this one, I think I could take this idea a little bit further. So then you go and you take that idea, right, you put it in this channel, and you start streamlining wisdom to make sense out of it. Now you're making sense out of it with these words. You're using words now to make sense out of this data that you're pulling from just the intelligence that's always around us. You're pulling information from this intelligence, and then you start to acutely describe it within your word usage, and you want these words that you're going to use it with to be words that you fully resonate with words that you can say with your entirety, and not say, oh, I would have said that differently, or said, if I were to sit in a booth for an hour and write a song verse or a whole song, I would have wrote it perfectly with each of these words like this. And that's how I would have said it. I wouldn't have just gone off the top of the dome and said this and that and that. Because when I look back, I would have been able to say it better or more resonatedly. It would have felt better within my whole being to have said these words with more descriptive words that more felt how I was feeling when I was feeling what I went to describe with the words. So you want to use words that describe what you're feeling to a T. Like Pitch Perfect. You really want, I wouldn't say that way because it's a movie, but you want to get these words to where your whole being fully is on board with using these words to make sense out of what you're looking to make sense out of when you pull a thought down in the channel. And right. Because when you start making sense out of it, these words, when you have all this energy and all this awareness, these words, they're ripples. They have meanings behind them. They have programs, like the way you've heard it said 800 billion days in a row. You heard this girl say it like this every day, and then you heard this guy in college say it like this or his way. So now when you say it, you're making sense out of what you were looking to make sense out of. You have these extra ways that you feel the word is going to now go, and the word means this. Oh no, but she said it like this, right? So the best way is to just come up with your own language. Use your own words. Don't use words that everybody else used. And say, this word, nah, I'm going to say, okay, for me, a word you could use that I use, for an example we could use is, some people would say, oh, this is, like garbage or trashy, or this is, they could even use more vulgar words, like when they start getting into curse words, like words like that, So I would say like muck. I came up with that word. I say this is a muck thought. It's muck. It's muddy water. It's mucky. It's not suitable for my liking. It's not the best word of my choosing. It's just some mucky word. This is muck thought, and you come up with your own word because now that's your word. So now it came from you. No one gave you that word. No one put that idea in your head. You put it in your own, and you're now using it consciously. So when you're making sense, you'd like to use words that you've consciously gathered onto your being. You rediscovered natural word usages that you are in tune with, right? All right. Thanks for watching. Leave any questions. I would love to answer them. If you have any like super big questions, still leave those ones. More to come. Thanks for watching. Peace.